What was the kind of atmosphere like in the company of like the kind of the Hogan's really leaving now because he left it in '92, but he came back.
I think at that point they were um, like everybody was leaving. Everybody was going to WCW. So it was just kind of it was like the young bucks, like all the young guys that were left. Macho stayed for a while, but Brett was our most seasoned guy. So it was kind of Brett Taker, Yoko, Scott, and Shawn. Were kind of the. I mean, then you had the shrinkers. You had Rikishi and Sammy. But I mean, we were a young crew of guys.
Because you're traveling with Sean, obviously, and was he? Because he's obviously telling you how things are going, what's been happening. Is he saying this is good that Hogan's going because we're going to get more of a shot, or is he kind of thinking we don't know what's going to happen because he's not going to be around?
Well, we knew that we were going under that trial, and we knew so we had the bodybuilding going on, that we're paying the bill for the bodybuilding, we were paying the bill for ICO Pro, and we were footing the bill for the legal fees. So pay was, pay was pay to the boy was the fourth option.
Because obviously you're with Sean for that kind of first year, and then in '94, a month after WrestleMania 10, you win the IC title from Razor from Scott Hall. How did that come about? The decision was, they have that big WrestleMania 10 match, and the belt's going to go to you the next month.
Don't remember. I mean, I just remember that we it was like a 2 week decision. I came back from a European trip, and Vince called me in, and he said I was going to go over at Rochester TV. I was going to beat Scott. And didn't Sean have like that where he came up positive for some bullshit, right?
Yeah, that was before Mania, and then we had the Unification IC title match.
Yeah. So yeah. So
And did it? I mean, because that's your first, big title. Does it
right.
feel? Does it feel to you like, oh yes, this is I'm kind of on the track here? If they're putting the belt on me, this
Well,
means.
yeah, because I got that belt, and then so now King of the Ring was now the second year of King of the Ring. We had it in Baltimore, and that was the first time that the main event of King of the Ring was going to be the IC versus the world champ. So I wrestled Brett, so that was the first time that maybe yeah I was the champ, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was the first time that I had a title shot, a world title shot in my career. So
you knew you were on the right track.
yeah, and I mean there was like when we had that the first time I actually worked at the Garden was a 6 man elimination tag match, and I won it. And that was like a day of call by Vince. And like Lex was out there when Vince was watching the match, and he kept like saying over and over, like, "Look how big he is. He's clean. Look how big he is." He was because Vince wanted a big guy. Vince wanted a big champion. So didn't matter how green I was. I was big as shit. So
And by WrestleMania 11, you're the champ. You won the title, and it's you and Shawn in Mania. And there's kind of interesting dynamics there, right? Because Shawn really wants to be champion. You're now champion. Then they're putting Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam on last. You guys are on earlier. Or your memories of that match and just kind of the scenario surrounding, did it bother you to be going on last or not? Did it bother you?
yeah, it bothered me for not to go on last. Um, but it was no different than the when I first got the belt, and we were down in Tampa, and we had that Royal Rumble match, me and Brett, and it was a no contest, so they didn't put me over Brett. So the first time I defend the title at a pay-per-view, I don't go over. So it tells me right there, like everything they're telling me is bullshit. They're not going to take a chance of damaging Brett if this experiment, with me doesn't work out.
And I guess with you and Shawn, because you're best friends, essentially, you're traveling all the time. There'll be a competitiveness both between you guys, I guess, and then also they're going to put Lawrence and Bam Bam on last. We were going on earlier. We're going to show them or put a performance that will be the match that's remembered.
I mean, we went out there to have the match, but we hadn't had many matches before that. It wasn't like we came off, 20 European days, and had a match put together. And then, so, I still to this day wonder, like, how the best athlete in the business took the worst power bomb, that I've ever given. And I did nothing any different than anybody else.
These things happen.
Yeah.
Famously, you decide early '96 you're going to go to WCW with Scott.
Right.
When you and Scott decided you're leaving, what is the reaction within the clique from Shawn?
Shawn was pissed because, and rightfully so, because, he worked with me when I was a champion. And he brought me to the dance. He did everything, and then it was kind of like, adios. Like, you got what you wanted. That's great, but me and Scott are gonna go get paid.
And did you ever get the sense that you wanted to follow suit?
No. He might have, acted like he wanted to give him leverage, but he wasn't going anywhere. He was exactly where he wanted to be. He was a world champion.
And then when you go, obviously, the NWO immediately becomes this huge thing in '96. By '97, it's just this kind of mainstream phenomenon as well. Were there any moments that you realized how big it really got compared to what, it just being a wrestling angle?
Yeah, when we did that thing with the Cable Ace show, we were like a running gag throughout the Cable Ace show. Even like NAPTY that year, when we went to NAPTY, the line was huge. It was like wrestling was had become very pop culture, very hot pop culture.
And you guys are at the forefront of it,
right?
Yeah, and at the same time, early '97, Raw goes to 2 hours, Vince adds the extra hour. Then WrestleMania, Austin and Brett have the submission match. You guys are like on top at this point. Are you seeing this and thinking there's anything to worry about down the line with Steve getting popular?
No, because we had so much, like they were taped, every other week. We always knew that was going to be an advantage because it just doesn't have the same energy. Their production was always going to be better than ours. I know personally from a standpoint of like I was talking, like when the pay-per-view that they had when they brought Mike Tyson in, and I watched it at home, and every trailer, Vince was so smart, every trailer, like going in and explaining how they got to this match at WrestleMania was like a movie quality trailer with Kane shooting, bolts of lightning out of his hands. And it was like, and then all of a sudden at the end of the night, there's Mike Tyson. So, it's just like all of a sudden, like you watch this and you see the production and, and these guys are fighting it to keep the company afloat.
And around when that's happening, they do the WrestleMania with Tyson. He knocks out the Shawn at the end. Austin wins the belt, and pretty much a couple of weeks later, the NWO splits, and it's NWO Wolfpack, NWO Hollywood. How do you feel when that's kind of pitched? That that's the idea? Do you guys think that this is going to help?
Well, it was they had grown the NWO to the point where the easiest way to get somebody over was to hand them a T-shirt, and we knew that wasn't going to work. But instead of doing what was best for business, which would have been kept Scott and I together with Pac, they put Scott with Hulk to make sure that they had somebody that had the cool factor, and nobody wanted to see that. Nobody wanted to see me and Scott wrestle each other. Nobody wanted any of that bullshit. So it was a huge, huge mistake. And then on top of that, when it came down to it, you know, the two factions split, but they never really had a war. We didn't have a war games. We had nothing. You know, we just never really, you know.
Do you think part of that, you mentioned that you and Scott being apart, Hulk Hogan's obviously very smart.
Well, he had creative control.
And he's thinking maybe, well, if those two cool guys over there, I'm over here.
He's dead. He knows it.